Hello people, hello YouTube. Fun fact for you, 1/3 of US domestic waste is grass clippings. So we're in the book of Revelation, and I'm continuing from the last video, which is about the false prophet and the Antichrist, and now we're into the final 3.5 years of the tribulation, and now we're going to go on to the bowl judgments. So this is the part where the Antichrist, he's going to reign for 3.5 years after he broke the covenant that was meant to be a 7-year treaty between Israel and its enemies, but then he broke it, went into the temple and proclaimed himself as God, and set up a statue for himself. And you know about the mark of the beast, you put in his right hand or forehead so that people can buy or sell. Those who don't take it will be beheaded. So let us begin. So the first bowl is loathsome sores, and so this was anyone who wore the mark of the beast, and a loathsome sore came on them, and those who worshipped the image who had the mark of the beast. So this is basically what will probably happen is this, the mark will probably break or something, the chip will break, and that will cause a reaction in the body and will cause a sore to appear. And then the second bowl is the sea turns into blood, and so the second angel poured out his bowl on the sea, and it became blood as of a dead man, and every living creature in the sea died. So basically, all the world's oceans turned to blood, literal blood, and every single living creature in the ocean that is alive at that time dies. So there's no fish, no sea animals, no nothing, no marine creatures whatsoever. And so all the water in the world then becomes undrinkable. So the third bowl, the water turns to blood, and so this is talking about fresh water that turns to blood. So all the rivers and the springs, it says in verse 2, they became blood. So all fresh water and all salt water becomes undrinkable. You can't drink it because it's blood. Fourth bowl, men are scorched. Men are scorched. So it says in chapter 16, verse 8, then the fourth angel poured out his bowl on the sun, and power was given to him to scorch men with fire, and men were scorched with great heat, and they blasphemed the name of God, who has power over these plagues, and they did not repent and give him glory. So basically what could happen is either the acceleration of the sun's death becomes accelerated, so it turns into a red giant, so that's what gives it its amplified power and basically scorches people to death, but they do not die, or it starts churning out a lot of solar maxes and starts ejecting loads of solar storms, and that causes a lot of heat, and so that burns away the atmosphere and exposes people to loads of ultraviolet radiation, so they end up being scorched to death. And then the fifth bowl is darkness and pain. So it says in verse 10, then the fifth angel poured out his bowl, and on the throne of the beast and his kingdom became full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues because of the pain. They blasphemed against the God of heavens because of their pains and sores, and did not repent of their deeds. So basically, the Antichrist kingdom, which is the Middle East, Pakistan, Afghanistan, that sort of area, also North Africa, and also the EU part, so the European Union kingdom as well. So they becomes completely plunged into darkness for the rest of 3.5 years. Then the sixth bowl is the Euphrates River dries up. So it says the sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, which is in the Middle East, and the water dried up, and then the kings of the east might be prepared. And then, so these kings of the east, so what's it talking about? So what it might be is, an eastern bloc of an eastern alliance, or an East Asian alliance. So you've got China, India, Southeastern Asian countries, Philippines, Indonesia, all those sort of Asian countries. They'll form an eastern alliance. They'll form their own, super nation, so to speak. And because they'll be so fed up with the Antichrist, all his policies, and him squandering all the resources and subjecting them to oppression, this will be their time to attack. And so it says in verse 13, and I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouth of the dragon, that's the devil, out of the beast, so that's the Antichrist, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, so that'd be that rogue Catholic priest that sides with the Antichrist. So no, so they'll go to all the kings of the earth and the kings of the earth on the great day of battle, so the battle of Armageddon, to try and stop, either destroy Israel, or they're going to try and prevent Jesus from coming back a second time to set up his 1,000-year reign. So that's what it's all about. And in verse 16, they gather in a place called Armageddon, or it's translated as Megiddo, which is a real place, which is just north of Jerusalem. So that's where they'll be gathering all the kings of the earth. So you've got the Antichrist army coming to try and prevent God and his heavenly angels from coming and setting up his 1,000-year reign. And then you've got the Eastern Alliance armies coming across the Euphrates River to try and stop the Antichrist from taking over the world anymore. But they'll probably join him because all these unclean spirits preaching all that propaganda, all that jazz. And then the seventh bowl, so the earth utterly shaken. Then the seventh angel poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came from the temple of heaven, from the throne, saying, "It is done." And there were noises and thunderings and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such a mighty and great earthquake as has not occurred since men were on the earth. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon was remembered before the Lord, and gave up the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. So basically, this is going to be a worldwide earthquake. Now, it could be not one mighty earthquake, or it could be several earthquakes that are really powerful, like 8 point, like 10 point onwards. And so there could be either several earthquakes around the world that cause a massive shaking and causes cities to fall. And now this place called Babylon, this is where, so this is either Rome. So this place called Babylon is definitely on the coast. It's going to be a place of major economic activity and places like that. So I'll explain it further. So in chapter 17 it says the woman was, in verse 4 it says, the woman was betrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. Now, I'm not sure if this is true or not. I'll have to research it and verify. But apparently there's a woman on the Vatican Church. I'm not saying there's anything bad with Catholic faith. I'm just saying that there's this woman on somewhere in the Vatican building with a golden cup in her hands. So it might allude to this. So basically, either Rome is the future Babylon, so it'll be a place of major economic activity. It is on the coast. It's quite near the Middle East, so there's lots of oil there, and so it could be that place as well. And so it'll be a place of economic activity. It'll be very rich, and this earthquake will split it into three parts because it'll be so bad. And also, it talks about in chapter 18 about how the merchants had become rich through the abundance of her luxury, so it's a place of major trade as well. And also, it was also a place where people used to even sold as slaves, as it says in verse 13. And so they'll definitely trade in merchandise of gold, silver, precious stones, pearls, fine linen, purple, silk and scarlet, every kind of essential wood, every kind of object of ivory, of every object of precious wood, bronze, iron and marble. So it'll be a place of economic activity of any industry that you can think of, that is hard assets. And also cinnamon, incense, fragrance and oil, so perfume, fashion, that sort of stuff. And also says they sold wheat, cattle, sheep, horses, chariots and bodies and souls of men, so slaves basically. So even slavery will come back. And so yeah, and then it gets destroyed. So it gets destroyed by it gets destroyed by this earthquake, and it also gets destroyed by the 7 kings of the EU, because they've been taken over. So the 10 kings that got taken over by the Antichrist, 3 of them moved, so you have 7 left. They get so angry with the Antichrist rule and stuff that they actually nuke Babylon, which is in verse I don't know, but it's definitely in here. I'll find it later. So it gets destroyed by an earthquake, and it gets burnt to the ground completely, either by the earthquake or by the rulers the EU rulers got taken over by the Antichrist, getting frustrated by his policies and that, so they destroy him. So now I'm going to split the videos here. If you have any questions, comment below. Bye.